Okay, let's check the audio. Okay, can everyone hear me? Yes, hardly any lag. That's exciting. Okay, I think we've had a flawless start to the live stream. How amazing. I think it's only 11 in a row now, which so I've managed to get it right. Welcome everyone to this evening's live stream, or this evening in the UK. Thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time, then welcome. For those that are regular viewers, welcome as well. I like to use this as a aquascaping community hangout, an opportunity to engage with you guys, answer some Q&As, and also if you have pertinent questions that you want answering and I'm not available or I don't have the time to answer them, then there are some experienced folk in the chat, so type in your questions there and I would ask the experienced guys, you know who you are now, to help out the less experienced and guys and girls with questions. So hopefully it kind of came about as a just because of the lockdown, and I just wanted to kind of reach out and aquascaping, etc. during this live stream. So welcome everyone. As usual, this morning I did post an Instagram story. If you don't follow me already on Instagram, check it out at George Farmer Studios. Every Sunday morning I do post a story with the option to ask a question, and then what I do is look through. Thank you so much to everyone that does write these questions. There's normally over 100 or so, and I pick out the top 5 or 6, and I've done that this evening as well, and I think I'm going to start to do it in the form of making those questions less technical and more a kind of covering a broader range of aquascaping topics rather than specific technical questions. So what I'd like to do maybe is save those real kind of in-depth technical questions for the stream later on, and then use these kind of half a dozen or so questions just to kind of get the ball rolling and start a kind of chat with you guys. So just a little bit of an update of what I've been up to this week. A very exciting week for me. One of the most exciting videos that I've ever produced, actually in collaboration with Headspace. Let me just check, is it freezing again? Oh, for goodness sake. So if you do find the streaming is freezing, just refresh. I have asked my whole family to come off the Wi-Fi, so hopefully it will be okay. But I apologise in advance. The camera's crooked. Yeah, we can deal with that. I'm sure that's no problem. So yes, this week I did a collaboration with Headspace. Headspace is a really popular app. I think it has at the moment 85 million users, and they have a feature on the app. It's a meditation app and a wellness app. I did used to use it. I don't really use apps so much for wellness anymore. I kind of find it a bit counterintuitive, but that's another story. But there's this really great app, and they have this feature called In the Zone. And what they do is they feature people with jobs that are, or careers that are relaxing. So they've had pottery folk, they've had dog groomers, origami artists, and all kinds of just jobs which the viewer will find really interesting, hopefully, to hear about. And yeah, just something during the lockdown that they've really been focusing on, this In the Zone series. And they reached out to me and they were really interested in having a video on aquascaping and what an aquascaper does. So I was really honoured, because it is a huge app and the potential audience is massive. And for me, it's about getting aquascaping to a new, potentially a new audience, and just spreading, you know, the word of aquascaping as far and wide as we can. And that's always been my primary goal. My primary mission is to promote aquascaping and use it as a kind of therapeutic tool, an enrichment tool, And I think that's really important, especially in today's society, obviously right now, but also in just general, where people are becoming more stressed. People are finding themselves always in this kind of fight or flight mode, where they're finding it really hard to kind of switch off from these kind of modern stresses. And I think aquascaping is really helpful for that. So it is going to be released on June the 17th, I believe. And it is free to watch. So the Headspace app is free to download, and you'll be able to watch this video for free. So keep an eye out on my social media channels, and I will post a link to that when it's ready. I did film solidly, probably 12 hours a day for 2 whole days. And my wife will tell you, I was quite stressed out about it. I wasn't actually stressed during the filming, it was just leading up to it, because they sent me this huge shot list. And they're very, I mean, it's a huge company, it's a huge brand, and they were very clear on exactly what content they wanted from me, what shots they wanted, the style of shots, even down to, you know, they wanted to know what cameras I was using. So I had an overhead camera which filmed the whole process, you know, throughout the whole thing. And then I used another camera, both digital SLRs, floating, you know, using it as a floating camera, all done by myself, apart from one scene where my wife Emma helped me out. And I created a new aquascape, and I'm actually going to video it tomorrow. I'm going to give an update on the aquascape, tell the whole story in more detail. So that was a big thing for this week that's been happening for me. And secondly, you may have noticed I've got some new lights above the aquarium. I'm going to do a full review of these. These are the Chihiros RGB Vivid 2s. So I will do a complete comprehensive video on them. So I won't talk about those in too much detail, otherwise it will spoil that content. And that's been it really for this week. Got lots of new ideas about new scapes for the tanks, but that's time for another video. So yeah, I hope everyone's had a great week. Let us know what you've been up to. Any kind of interesting aquascaping news? Anyone done any rescapes? Added new plants? Added new fish? Let us know in the chat. Let us know where you're from. And yeah, let's just use this opportunity to all have a great chat and a community hangout. So without further ado, I will check out the questions. So let's dive on over to those. So I picked out 6 questions, like I said, diverse kind of range, but not too technical this time. I'm going to save the technical questions later on for the live chat. So Noah Anderson 950, shout out to Noah if you're watching. So just a reminder, these are from Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, George Farmer Studios. Oh, the volume's on, embarrassing. And yeah, every Sunday morning I post the opportunity to ask a question, and then I'll pick out the top half a dozen or so questions. So here we go. Noah Anderson 950, who would I say has had the biggest impact on my style of aquascaping? Now that's a really easy one to answer. That's Takashi Amano. And for those that don't know, Takashi Amano is the kind of godfather, I would say, of modern aquascaping. He invented the nature aquarium philosophy, which is grabbing a scene of nature from outside and transferring that essence of nature, not deliberately maybe copying the scene 100%, but just like the flavour, the essence of it, and putting it into the aquarium. And you can see that that's exactly the style I've gone through here, and it's the style of all my other aquascapes basically. So I'm absolutely a huge fan of the nature aquarium style, and I never really steer very far from that, because it is, you know, I have to kind of stay authentic to my own kind of taste, and you know, I don't think it's kind of right for me to start promoting, you know, other styles of things that I don't actually enjoy or believe in myself. So that is absolutely my kind of, you know, my passion in terms of style. I mean, even the cichlid tank, it isn't a classic nature aquarium because there's no plants in there. But the way I've composed the rocks, you know, it's like an Iwagumi style really. So I kind of use those aquascaping kind of lessons from Takashi Amano and try to apply them to my own aquascapes. And you know, even if I went down the reef aquarium route, I'd probably still use elements of the nature aquarium philosophy. So thanks for the question, Noah. It's a really good one. Second question from Gamma Jola. Apologies if I've pronounced your name wrong. Your biggest aquarium failure that's been during installation or maintenance? So I've had a few failures, and there's one particular failure that I have repeated on too many occasions, and that is a floating wood. And again, my wife will tell you about this because she'll hear me shouting and swearing when it happens, and I've even had it happen at a couple of workshops as well, which is deeply embarrassing when you're performing live in front of an audience. So even the best laid plans, sometimes you will fail. So I'll deliberately soak the wood. It looks like it's sinking in the bucket outside or whatever, and then I'll scape with it. And then when I come to fill the aquarium up with water, or a couple of times now, the wood has floated. Quite a lot of times the wood is actually partially buried in the soil, and so by the action of it floating, obviously rips up the soil, rips up all the plants that are around that wood and around the soil, causes a complete cloudy mess. And an even bigger drama is because a lot of the time I'm photographing these aquascapes or videoing them for a step-by-step tutorial, and so it completely ruins it, because the final shot that I want to take of the tank full and the water clear isn't going to look like it did leading up to that process, because the wood's floated and I've had to reposition the wood, replant all the plants. And so yeah, that's been my biggest failure during installation. And during maintenance, I have had leaking filters, leaking pipes, etc. So nothing major, just a few litres, a few gallons of maybe water on the floor now and again. But that's probably my biggest failure on maintenance. But thanks for the question, Gamma Jola. Okay, next question. Nino Pyro No Party. Would you think about opening a gallery to the public, not a shop in brackets, just aquascapes? This is a really interesting question, because I have thought about it, and it's quite coincidental actually, because I was taking my dog Tommy for a walk with my daughter Florence yesterday, and she said to me, what would I do if I won the lottery? Now, I had a few ideas, and they're largely based around, aquascaping, because that is my absolute passion, and I'd still want to work, I'd still want to add value. I wouldn't just do like a lot of people want to do and have the fancy house, car, holiday, etc. I'd actually want to add kind of value through aquascaping, because that is kind of where I see myself. And I did think about how cool it would be to open like a super luxurious aquascaping gallery where it's free to enter, and I just use it as an opportunity to really inspire people. Have it similar maybe to the Nature Aquarium gallery in Japan, or something maybe even a bit more ostentatious. But that's obviously if money is kind of no object. At the moment, aquascaping is my business. It is my sole income now, and so it wouldn't be practical for me to open a gallery and not kind of use it as an income tool. So it's kind of, you could argue you've got a little bit of a gallery here. I call it the GFS gallery. I've got 6 aquariums now, and it does feel like a bit of a gallery. I'll just rotate the camera around and you can see what I mean. I haven't done a video for a while updating on all the tanks. So if we start over to the left, you can see the Malawi cichlid tank there. And then we've got, this is a work in progress, the Starline 125. Then we've got the 1200, which everyone knows. And then on the desk, we've got the Tropica Aquacube. Let's just flip it round here. And then just a very quick one, because I'm going to do a full video update on this tank tomorrow, is the Starline 85. So it does feel like a little bit of a gallery with 6 aquascapes, all together in one kind of living space. But yeah, I think that kind of answers the question. I definitely wouldn't go down a retailer route. I think that's kind of too stressful and too kind of narrows your focus too much for me. You'd be purely focused on making profit through selling stuff, which isn't really what I'm about. I'm very good friends with a lot of retailers as well, so I wouldn't really want to start competing with those guys. So yeah, it's a great question. Thank you, Nino Pyro No Party. Very interesting username as well. Let's just make sure that everyone is still and we haven't frozen on the stream. That's good news. Okay, Gemma Simmons Garlinge. What's the most unexpected skill that I've developed as a result of aquascaping? So I had a good think about this. And from a practical level, it is, what do they call it? Ambidextrous. I'm ambidextrous now with my hands. So I can use tweezers, aquascaping tweezers, aquascaping scissors, just as well in each hand. And I'm sure I couldn't do that before I started aquascaping. So that's something that's really quite handy. I haven't tried writing with my right hand, and to be fair, I don't really do much handwriting these days with technology, you know, keyboard and touchscreen on your phone. So yeah, that's the most kind of unexpected skill. In terms of going a bit kind of beyond practical, just the kind of being self-employed has taught me some skills in terms of kind of time management, you know, bit of accounting, invoicing, you know, kind of admin type stuff that I never did when I was in the military in a career, but now I've kind of had to learn that. The biggest kind of skill I've developed there is kind of time management and scheduling my time appropriately. And I use an app on my phone, Time Tree, where kind of everything is kind of structured in a day, and by hour I kind of know what I'm doing, because I have to be like that now because I am quite busy. So that's definitely a skill I've learned as I've become a kind of busy aquascaper. But that's not really, you know, that's more to do with just being self-employed rather than an aquascaper. But definitely, yeah, the ambidextrous thing has been really interesting to learn. Thanks for the question, Gemma. So Glassbox Aquatics asks, what country has the best local fish stores? And he says, or she says, it's okay to be biased and lean towards the UK. And I have been very blessed, very fortunate, and I'm very grateful to have had the opportunity to visit probably hundreds of stores all over the world now. The best country, I would say, in terms of the amount of high quality fish stores, especially from an aquascaping perspective, is Germany. And, you know, I've been to Germany a few times, and, you know, even in one city, you can have 3 or 4 good quality aquascaping stores, and the fish quality is almost always excellent as well. So yeah, Germany, the Netherlands is very strong, Spain. The UK is very good, but definitely more in terms of traditional fish keeping. There's some really, really great specialist fish keeping stores, especially in the northwest. And I also want to give a shout out to Wharf Aquatics near Nottingham as well. But the UK has some great aquascaping stores as well. You know, you've got Aquarium Gardens, Scape Nature, Riverwood Aquatics, Crowder's Aquatics, Fish Cove, Horizon Aquatics. You know, all these guys. Apologies if I've missed anyone out, but all, you know, it's since I started the hobby, you know, all these are brand new stores that have had a real kind of focus on aquascaping, which is absolutely great for the UK. The US has some, but because of just the geographic size of the US, it's, you know, you're going to have to be quite lucky to live near one. But there are some really great stores over in the US, but it's just unfortunate they are quite spread apart. I have to give a shout out to Aquarium Design Group, the best store that I've visited in the US by far, and also SR Aquaristic, and they are more kind of online and a wholesaler, but very good selection of hardscape, and follow them on their social media as well, because that's some super inspirational content. That's SR Aquaristic. I haven't done the Far East yet, so that is somewhere I need to visit, and hopefully I'll be going over there next year maybe. But yeah, Germany is the simple answer to that question. Thank you very much, Glassbox Aquatics. Okay, 5th question, Duarte Sumagaido. How do you get out of your aquascaping comfort zone? This is a great question, and I think it's really important to do that if you want to grow as an aquascaper, excuse the pun. You know, to develop any skill, whether it's aquascaping or soccer, football, or, you know, any kind of discipline, you need to step out of your comfort zone. Otherwise, you never develop, you never stretch yourself. So, you know, there's that, just to kind of remind you, it is important to step out of your comfort zone. And the easiest way to do that, I would say, is in terms of aquascaping, is probably limit yourself with materials. So, you know, it really depends on your circumstances. So I'm very fortunate to have access to a huge variety of plant species, a huge variety of hardscape, you know, just on my doorstep. And, you know, I obviously work closely with brands that are happy to supply these to me. So I'm very blessed with that. And actually, you could argue that that becomes even more important to step out your comfort zone, because it'd be very easy to stay in your comfort zone because you have access to everything that makes your aquascaping comfortable. And you could argue actually that that's kind of what I've been doing over the last few years. How many times have I really stepped out of my comfort zone? I mean, the Malawi cichlid tank, you know, that's a good example. No plants in there, a species of fish that I've never ever kept before. And I think I've succeeded. The fish are super healthy, the tank looks great. And so that was a great learning experience. That pushed me out of my comfort zone. But in terms of planted tank aquascapes, sometimes I'll do scapes for clients that they'll have a very kind of strong idea of what they want, and it might not be what I would particularly choose myself, but they're the client, so their say is final. They're the customer, and so that will kind of stretch me out of my comfort zone as well. But yeah, in terms of my kind of tanks at home, maybe I do need to step out of my comfort zone a bit more. You've got to balance that with creating content that people are going to enjoy, because if I personally stretch myself too much, it could end up creating, you know, something that's not that enjoyable to watch. It might be a disaster, but even then I guess people could learn and see, you know, and I can learn from that disaster and improve. So it's a really great question, and for people that are watching at home and they're probably thinking, yeah, maybe I could step up my comfort zone a bit, I'd definitely recommend doing that. I think they say something like a mind once stretched never returns to its original size, and you know, I think that's a great thing. I mean, I think we do need to stretch ourselves more often, and if we want to develop more, you know, if you keep doing the same old aquascape over and over again, then actually you're not going to learn that much, are you? So yeah, lessons for everyone there maybe. Okay, last question from B15NWT. If lockdown has taught me anything, what is it? Oh, this is a great question. And let us know in the chat, what have you learned from lockdown? What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about the hobby? I think this is a really great question. I myself have learnt that I really thrive in a very kind of structured and routine environment. So due to the nature of lockdown, I've not been traveling, and so I've actually really enjoyed having a super structured day, down to the point where, you know, every evening or even on a Sunday evening, I'll plan the week, what jobs I'm going to do on each day, you know, in the morning, afternoon and evening, and then at the end of every evening just kind of micromanage the day before. That's been really helpful for me, and really kind of allowed my kind of brain just to kind of settle down. So I used to have quite bad insomnia. I used to wake up at 3 in the morning and just my mind start racing about things I've got to do for the next day. But just by having this kind of real organised structure and routine, that kind of low-level anxiety or stress has been taken away, because it's all been kind of laid down in front of me. I know exactly what I'm doing on each day of the week, and almost down to what time. So that's been really, really helpful, and lockdown has really helped me achieve that, because, you know, my environment has stayed super stable, so it allows me to operate within this stable environment and then create this kind of routine. It will be interesting when I go back to traveling again, when the lockdown's lifted properly and I start flying all over, which I probably will be doing fairly soon, I guess. I will definitely take these lessons forward and try to stick to this kind of structure, but obviously have to weave in the traveling amongst that. So yeah, that's kind of the biggest thing lockdown's taught me. I haven't like some people have been trying to learn a new language or learn a musical instrument or get super fit. you know, lose a certain amount of weight, you know, use the opportunity whilst on lockdown to do something really kind of positive in their life. I haven't done anything kind of specific like that, but just kind of stuck to a quite a strict kind of working routine. I have been doing push-ups every day quite routinely and running a little bit more than I usually do, and doing squats and kind of physical stuff and eating. I'm trying to eat healthily. I've kind of let myself go the last couple of days, but nothing too drastic. But yeah, let us know in the chat what you guys have been up to in this lockdown, and maybe there's some interesting ideas for everyone to learn from. Okay, so let's jump over to the live Q&A now. Thank you so much for listening up to now. Really appreciate it. I will just say, anyone that wants to have their question kind of guaranteed to be answered, then drop a super chat, and that just highlights it in my feed here, and I will definitely answer your question for you. And those that and the moderators that are watching now, thank you so much to Candy and Lizzie. If you could just keep an eye on the super chats for me, and if I do accidentally miss one, then please let me know. I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate you guys being here and helping me out on the moderation of the chat. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've got a super chat already. Thank you so much, Deepak Sahi. I think I remember you from last week or the week before. Very generous. The inhabitants have rescaped the aquarium and moved the substrates to the foreground sand. Grass has grown nicely. Should I cover sand or remove it first before planting? I'm just trying to understand the question fully. So you rescape, move the substrate to the foreground sand. Grass has grown nicely. So let me know, is the grass growing in the foreground on the sand? I'm not quite sure what you want to achieve. If you want to achieve a full carpet, then just let the fish do their thing, because eventually you're going to have a full carpet and it's going to be irrelevant what the substrate is in the foreground, if you know what I mean. But if you want it to look really pristine and keep that kind of open foreground look like we have here, then yeah, remove the soil. You'll just have to bear in mind the long-term consequences. If they're fish that like to move your substrate all the time, then it's almost, you know, you're going to be fighting a losing battle just by temporarily removing the soil for it only to go back on there again. So you may want to come up with a longer term solution on that one. Thank you so much, Deepak, for the super chat. Very grateful. GX, Uber Analog, $10 super chat. Late to the party today, George. Cheers. That's Uber Analog. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Let me know if you want a question answering. GX Gaming, any tips on how to grow my aquarium channel, George? Yeah, YouTube tips. Where do I start? I think the number one thing is stay authentic to yourself. Number two is just really focus on creating good content. So by good content, I mean good storytelling. You know, structure the video so it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it tells a story. And that could be how I maintain my aquarium, how I deal with algae. It could be focusing on a distinct plant species. It could be a vlog of visiting somewhere, obviously obeying the social distancing guidelines. But I tell you what thing I've learned most recently is just planning the video. Rather than just having an idea and then just getting the camera and just kind of going off the fly, actually structure the video. And you don't have to kind of script it, but just kind of jot down some notes, the main points that you want to get across in the video, the main kind of takeaways you want the audience to kind of receive, and then focus on the production quality. So good audio is more important than good video. It's easier to listen to someone than it is to watch them. So if you invest in anything, if you have to invest in any technology at all, it would be to buy a microphone. This is actually just a cheap lav microphone that's just plugged directly into my phone. So that's a good, hello Tommy, he's a good boy. So yeah, the technology isn't as important as the storytelling and as the content. So just focus on that, stay true to yourself and just go for it. Just keep producing more content. You'll get better and better the more you practice. Don't be afraid just to get the content out there. and just keep releasing new and new content, because with every video you'll just get better and better. Storyboarding, that's right. Yeah, that's the word. Said Butcher, how do I decide on an Aquascape layout? Do you design, then find the right hardscape, or design to the hardscape you have? That's a great question. Just a second. Good boy. Do you want to go and see Mummy? Emma? Oh. Okay, sorry Seb. Thank you for the super chat, mate. How do I decide on an Aquascape layout? Do I design, then find the right hardscape, or design to the hardscape you have? It depends really. I mean, I have a big stash of hardscape in the garden, and I'll kind of just have an idea in my mind based around that. A lot of it's to do with like the plants I want to kind of use. A lot of the scapes I do for clients or in stores, I'm limited by the hardscape that they have available to them. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers your question. It is a good question. I'm very much driven by the options of the hardscape I have to hand. That's probably the best way to answer you. Thank you. John Starkey, hello mate. We do need to have a proper catch up. I do apologise for not calling you yet. I've been working as a key worker at medical. Hats off to you, mate. We're all very grateful for guys like you. Dark Angel. Oh, super chat from Kamil Dvorech, 20. I think that's Czech. Is it the Czech Republic currency? I'm not sure. Apologies. We've got a super chat from my good friend Mark Dorr. McDonald's are open. You look like you could do with £1/4. He's so funny, Mark. He actually asked a really funny question on Instagram, but it had some swear words in there, so I couldn't read it out live, unfortunately. Mark's a great guy. Check him out on Mark. Just drop down what your Instagram handle is on here. Moderators, let Mark link to his Instagram. He's a really great guy, and he's a really talented aquascaper as well. So, Justin Technic, does the Vivid 2, these lights here, come with shades? It doesn't come with them supplied. You have to get them separately. I will do a full review on these, so I won't answer too many questions about that, although I do realise people are very interested in them. Yeah, this is a good one. Bish Bash Ash, hi George, have you ever thought of doing a video where you look and comment on viewers' aquascapes? I have, but and people have asked me this before, and I think I've answered as well on the chat. It's just the technology. I'd have to figure out how to do it from the technology point of view in terms of making high quality content. So it is something I've thought about. To be honest with you, there's so much room for content just for the 6 aquariums I've got, and I've got so many ideas about creating videos. It's just literally having the time to do it. You know, I'm working really hard for brands like Tropica and Oase. I'm still working on my book. I've written the manuscript and I've sent off the photos, but now it's down to the design stage, so I'll be working on that very soon. So I'm trying not to give excuses for not doing these kind of video ideas. They're kind of reasons, I guess. But I do appreciate the feedback, and I know I don't reply to as many comments as maybe I used to on YouTube, but if you do have video ideas for videos, then please do let me know. Just because I don't reply to you necessarily doesn't mean I've not read it, and I do really appreciate it. So thank you. Snow White is writing in capitals, so I guess you're shouting at me. Best plants for sand only substrate. Epiphyte plants, because they don't go in the substrate. So sand has got no nutrients in it at all. So it's not the best thing for any plants with roots. But you can grow epiphyte plants, you know, Anubias nana, Java fern, mosses, Bucophilandra, all these plants that attach to decor will be absolutely fine with a sand substrate because they don't have their roots in the sand. Other than that, just really easy plants, you know, Limnifila, Sessiflora, Vallisneria, some Rotalas. But you go on the Tropica website and look at the easy category of plants, and most of those will grow in sand substrates if you've got good liquid fertilizers. Any update on the book? Yeah, I was just saying, mate, thank you for the question. I've had the first sample, the design sample sent over. So basically the first chapter all laid out as it would be when the book's printed. It looks really cool. I'm really happy with it. And now I've got to caption all the photos. So I do that with a special kind of PDF editor. And I need to do that probably over the next week or so. And yeah, its release date is still due November. It is available for pre-order from Amazon.com or Amazon.co.uk. So yeah, pre-order it, and I'll also be. I'm probably going to buy a couple of hundred copies myself, and then people have the opportunity maybe to buy from me signed copies, or at least I can take a bunch of copies to different stores, and then they can sell them or give them away, etc. There's still lots of planning to do on that kind of thing, but yeah, watch this space. But it's out for general release on November the 10th, available for pre-order now on Amazon. If you Google Aquascaping George Farmer on Amazon, then you'll find it, hopefully no problem. Oh, we've got a super chat, Edwards Aquariums. I have pressurized CO2. How is the best way to distribute around the aquarium from my Tropica diffuser? Thanks for the super chat, Edwards Aquariums. Quite simple. Have your filter running wherever it is in the tank, and then just have an experimentation with the diffuser. Put it in different positions in the aquarium. It could be at the opposite end. It could be kind of adjacent to it. But what you want to do is just keep an eye on those bubbles and just play around until you get the best circulation. So ideally, you want the bubbles to be kind of not floating straight to the surface and getting around as much of the tank as possible. So it is just a case of experimentation. You might need to fiddle around with your filter outlet and your filter position if you can do that. And then just, yeah, fiddle around with both the diffuser position and the filter position until you get this ideal circulation. Oh, this is a good question. There's loads of good questions, actually. Dark Angel has got an issue with why brands aren't letting people know what grade stainless steel they use. I guess it's their prerogative. You know, they might not want to give away any details of their products so people can copy them, maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the content, then hit the like button. 338 of you watching and only 118 likes. It's very disappointing. Okay, Matthias Varkuturian. Hi George, how much increase of fertilizers like Tropica Specialized when you have deficiencies or the plants are struggling? Love your lives, thanks for doing that. You're welcome. You could double the dose. So whatever you're dosing, I dose every day. If I'm dosing 5 ml a day, which I'll probably do on like a 50 litre or 15 gallon, more than that, 50 litres. Yeah, it's about 15 gallons, 5 ml a day, and in a high energy setup with good lighting and CO2. If I started to see nutrient deficiencies, I'd go for 10 ml a day. You know, the great thing about healthy planted tank system, if you've got enough plants, by adding more nutrients, you're not going to get algae because those plants are going to use the nutrients before the algae can. So never be afraid to overdose. You could definitely be afraid of underdosing because the plants will struggle, and that's when you get algae, basically. Suffolk Fitness. My husband and I really enjoy listening every Sunday at 7 PM. Thank you, George. Thank you, Suffolk Fitness. That's really cool. I love it at fitness channels watching my content. I'm really into fitness as well. MH Aquatics, any ideas for uses of moss balls in scapes? Yeah, you can quite simply use them along the foreground or kind of wedged between stones to look like moss. You know, moss balls actually aren't a moss, they're a form of algae. They're actually a form of cladophora algae. But yeah, you can kind of use them as a moss look-alike. You can actually, when it's a ball, you can actually use a knife, open it up, and then you can actually glue it to rocks, etc. And this can look really effective. It's such a slow grower though. It tends to attract detritus, etc. People have used it to form like bonsai trees as well. So there's a few ideas for you. Thanks for the question. Okay, just checking out the best questions, guys. So many good ones. Daryl Fuller, hi George, please let me know how you build up to get the height of your scape behind you. Quite simple. The plants at the back, these are tall stem plants, and then the plants in the mid-ground are crypts, which grow to that height. And then in the middle, I've actually got hardscape with ferns attached to it, and rocks with the Monte Carlo, etc. But all the background plants are actually the height of the whole aquarium. You know, they're background stem plants. So quite simple, really. Oh, this is a good one. This is quite a tricky one from New Mexico Aquatics, my friend Little Bobby. Can you please discuss crypt lucans versus crypt lutea? Differences, general care, scaping? I don't, hands up, I don't actually know. So, yeah, I'm gonna, do you know what? This is gonna be interesting. I've got a new book from Crystal Castleman, Aquarium Plants, super great textbook with loads of photos, all about the individual plant species. Let's have a quick look and see if we can find Cryptocoroni lucans, which I'm sure there's about 800 species in here, so which is great because I'm only about 200. So, you know, I'm learning hundreds of different more plant species, which is so cool for me because I'm a massive plant geek. Shit, it's not in here. There's no crypt lucans in here. It must be a synonym. Sorry about that, mate. Just wasted 30 seconds of everyone's time there. Apologies. David Moore, where did I get my hair cut? My beautiful wife cut it for me, and she's not a trained hairdresser, but I have to say she's very skilled and I'm very grateful to her. So, yes. The language, I guess you mean the book is in English. It's been published, a 2020 edition. If you go Candy, I don't know if you can, I'm just going to show you up close the name of it and then you can Google it. It's literally out this year. Oh. I'm just waiting for the lag to finish. $226. Have you got the same edition as me though? That's the question. I've got Cryptalbida in here. Anyway, but I would definitely recommend that book. It is expensive. I think it's about £60, £65. So it is an expensive book, but it is self-published and Crystal actually sends them out herself. So it is, you get the postage and packing for that. But if you're a serious plant geek like I am, it's definitely worthwhile. You know, I'm doing videos every week now for Tropica on plant profiles, so that's a really good source of information for those books. Okay, we've got another super chat. Thank you so much from Camille. 100 CZK, I can never remember. I think, is that Czech Republic? Can you create your ranking of most important aspects around the aquarium? Light, filtration, CO2, cleaning, water change. What is the most important for a healthy aquarium? If I had to rank them, that's really interesting. I mean, they're all kind of synergistic. They're all relying on each other for a healthy aquarium. To actually rank them in any order is quite tricky. Assuming that your light is capable of growing all of your plants, that's an essential thing. I'd rank them in terms of, and if you're injecting CO2, then probably light, CO2, filtration, cleaning and water change. I mean, it's really hard to put them in order. One thing I have learned is water changes are really, really great for maintaining a healthy aquarium. I've had less algae, the healthiest plants, the healthiest fish than I've ever had since I've been changing more water more frequently. So that would probably go up in my priorities now. Now I've been doing that since lockdown. I've never done so many water changes, or I should say my stepson Harrison, who I pay to do water changes for me while I've been working on other projects, he's been doing a great job. I've really noticed a complete increase in all positive aspects since doing the water changes. But yeah, light, CO2, nutrients, circulation, maintenance, all these things are almost as important as each other. You know, just as a heads up, in my book, I think I listed them in terms of light. Then I went into, I think I did fertilizers, then I did CO2. No, light and substrates before fertilizers, then CO2, and then maintenance. So yeah, thanks for the super chat, mate. Really appreciate it. Jeff Ledford, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. George, for a low, medium, light epiphyte only tank, would you say EI scheme or going leaner? Thanks for all I do to elevate the hobby. I love that. Elevate the hobby. That's great. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'd go leaner because epiphytes, generally speaking, are slower growing. I'm not sure if you're dosing CO2 or not, but I would probably start off with 1/3 of the regular EI and then go from there. That's a good question. Some epiphytes will grow big. Some epiphytes take in more nutrients than others. I actually find Java fern quite a hungry plant, whereas things like Bucophalandra and Anubias need less nutrients. Bulbitis needs quite a lot of nutrients as well. It's another epiphyte plant. Moss generally doesn't need much nutrients at all. So I'll start off with 1/3 and then maybe build up from that. Thank you, Jeff, for the super chat. There was another one from Robert Ging. Robert, let me know, guys. I've missed out Robert's super chat. Please let me know what it is. Oh, here we are. Sorry, got it. Robert Ging. Hi, George. I have 2 gourami. The bigger one is always chasing off the smaller one. Do gouramis not get along? I think gouramis are one of those species of fish where you could be lucky or unlucky. I think you could probably add more and diffuse the aggression, or maybe think about having more plants or more hardscape to give more areas for shelter and security for the kind of victim, if you like. But yeah, if one's constantly chasing the other, then it is an issue. I have 2 in here. They do chase each other around sometimes, but not to the detriment. I wouldn't say one's like super unhealthy compared to the other one. I've got one up there at the top left. Okay, another super chat. David Scapes, thank you so much, £5. Any tips on trimming a Dutch type tank? I'm starting one now. I recently saw one you created in a video on Bart Lauren's tank. Yeah, they're amazing. There's a few different trimming techniques that you can use. So I'm gonna reposition the camera, and I'm gonna give you. This is a great question, and you've done a super chat, so it deserves the attention. So let's just position that there for you guys. Not quite straight. Oh, I do apologise. That's a bit annoying, isn't it? Let me just move this leg slightly. That's better, isn't it? Let's make sure it's nice and square. There we go. Okay, so let's have a little example. Let's get my scissors. Get my posh scissors since we're going live. These are a present from Aqua Eden, which is an aquascaping store in Lisbon, Portugal, near Lisbon, near the Floresta das Submersas. And they very kindly gave me an ADA pair of scissors. So what you can do, a regular trim, let's do one now, shall we? Let's just trim this one here that needs trimming here. So I've trimmed there. Now where I've trimmed from, that's going to produce 2 new shoots. And then we have this here. So what we can do with this is actually replant it. And then that's obviously going to grow up. And then if I trim that again, where I trim, it's going to produce 2 new shoots. And you can use this to your advantage to create bushy effects. But the disadvantage, if you imagine you keep trimming and keep trimming, you're going to end up with like an umbrella effect. And then the lower leaves are going to become starved of light and circulation, and then they'll die off. So what you need to do then is definitely trim off the growing portion and then keep replanting. That's a very kind of basic lesson on trimming stems. I have done a video, quite a long video on trimming stem plants, so check that out. But the Dutch technique is, it is a demanding style of aquarium. Good luck. You'll definitely learn more skills doing that. This is a nice angle, isn't it? Let's do that. But I've got to confess, I'm not an expert on Dutch aquascaping. I have done a couple of Dutch scapes before, but I'm more of a fan of the nature aquarium style. I just find them a Dutch style is such high maintenance to keep it looking really good all the time. Whereas with a nature aquarium style, it gives you kind of a lot more room for error, a lot more kind of wiggle room for creativity, etc. Czech Republic Krone is the, yes, thank you very much. Okay guys, got another 10 minutes or so. We've only got 180 likes. Let's try and get it to 200 and then maybe I'll spend another 10 minutes for you guys. Okay. Where are we? Geordie Scaper. Shout out to Geordie Scaper. Check him out on YouTube. Any tips on how not to copy your style, George? It just happens when I'm scaping. What can I say? I'm flattered that you copy my style. And I copy Amano's style. So if you're not really copying me, you're copying Amano. And if anyone needs to argue that, then they've obviously got a bit of a problem. But there's nothing wrong with copying people's aquascapes. It's a great way to learn, especially as a beginner. I mean, it's a really overwhelming hobby. There's hundreds of plants to choose from. There's hundreds of different types of lights, hundreds of filters. It's super complicated if you're a complete beginner. I really empathise with the kind of overwhelming choice of products and styles of aquascaping out there. So it's definitely a good idea to copy someone. And then what that does, it gives you a almost guaranteed path to success. If you copy their style, if you copy the plants they're using, if you copy the aquarium or something similar aquarium, and copy the aquarium products and the aquarium maintenance techniques, then that is going to give you almost a guaranteed path to success. A good example is when I set up an aquascape for a client. Very often the client is a brand new fish keeper. They've never kept an aquarium before, and I don't do maintenance contracts. So what I do is I give the client personal one-on-one training, give them a care guide, what to do every day, every week, every month. And they follow it to the letter. They do the water changes, they do the plant trimming, they add the fertilizers, they clean the filter. I kind of give them lessons on how to do all of that, give them a comprehensive email with everything listed, and then I'm on hand either by WhatsApp or FaceTime or whatever. If they have a real emergency and they need some one-on-one, coaching, then I do that as well. But that shows that if you kind of stick to one method that's a proven method, in this case the methods that I kind of advocate, then it's a guaranteed path to success. So there's nothing wrong with copying either a style or a technique. And what happens then is once you've, particularly in terms of copying a style of someone, once you've copied their style and you've had success with it, it's just going to give you confidence, and then maybe you can tread kind of your own path. You can kind of tweak that style, have something a little bit unique to it. I mean, I know Geordie Scaper did a really nice Fluval Flex triangle layout with dragonstone and kind of smaller textured hardscape. You know, that's something I've rarely done. So absolutely, you weren't copying my style there. So I know it's a bit tongue-in-cheek, your comment, but it's an important lesson. Nothing wrong with copying, especially as a beginner. If and when you do copy, you get good results, that will build your confidence up, and then you can begin to tread your own path if indeed you want to. You might just want to copy stuff all the time. You know, it's just really important that you're enjoying the hobby for you, and that's the most important thing, is to have fun and enjoy the hobby for yourself. You know, try not to worry about what other people think about your stuff. If you're worried about what other people might think, don't make it public. Just keep it to yourself. You know, it's a hobby. It's supposed to be a pastime. It's something that's supposed to be fun and you enjoy. If you start publishing your work and getting criticised for it, and you're not enjoying that process or getting any positive feedback from that, then maybe it's time not to make your work public. I'm kind of going, you know, off on a tangent a bit there, but I think it's an important topic. You know, in this day and age where it's really quite easy to share your work on Instagram, YouTube, etc. You know, these platforms are free to use. A lot of people are using them, but by making your work public, you open yourself up, obviously, to less than favourable comments sometimes, shall we say. This is a good question. Hannah Belector. Hi George, I'm new to aquascaping. Follow your videos, thank you very much. My Amano shrimps are now eating the plant. Anything I can do? This is actually a really quite a common problem that a lot of people don't realise. Amano shrimps will eat your plants even if there's no algae on them. In fact, they'll eat the plants definitely if there's no algae on them, because they've got nothing else to eat potentially. So I would consider feeding the shrimp a separate food. So if you've not got fish in the tank, and then obviously you're not feeding a fish food, then you might need to buy a specific food for the Amano shrimp. It could be like a sinking tablet or a wafer, but basically you just want to tempt those shrimp away from eating the plants. Hopefully you haven't got algae in your tank, and hopefully the shrimp would prefer to eat the algae than the plants. There is a chance that you maybe have another type of shrimp that looks like an Amano shrimp, which just loves to eat plants as well. So you may need to do a bit more research on that. Okay guys, it's nearly time. I'm gonna be really bold here, and I'm going to ask for 300 likes in the next couple of minutes, and then I'll stay on a little bit longer just for fun. Mark Dorr says 300 likes and George will do 50 push-ups. Do you know what? I haven't actually done any today. I said to my wife, I haven't done any push-ups, but we did do a 12-kilometre run. For those that don't know, that's nearly 8-mile run today. So very proud of that. But yeah, I haven't done any push-ups today. So if you want to see me do 50 push-ups, then get 300 likes. Super chat, James Dyer. Thank you, mate. £2. Hey, George, the lights make your tank look better. Yeah, it's interesting. The way the iPhone's picking out the colours is very, very different to how I'm seeing it with my eyes. So I am going to do a full-on video of these lights, guys, so I won't answer too much questions on that, but they're impressive. I'm just going to say that for now. Another super chat from Viro 2002, 199. Can you recommend a schooling nanofish for an iwagumi? Yeah, you want to keep the fish welfare in mind with iwagumi, because normally an iwagumi is very minimalist. It doesn't have much surface cover. It's normally quite bright lighting. So you want to keep a brave fish that may be used to swimming in shallow water with fast flowing waters. So I would suggest something ember tetras. They're quite brave. Black neons are nice as well. Tetras generally, captive bred tetras are generally okay in iwagumis. Barbs tend not to have the right swimming pattern for an iwagumi, I would suggest, and a lot of them are quite shy, especially like the Pentazona barbs. Something like white cloud mountain minnows is a really good choice. They're super brave and they're just beautiful fish, really underrated. You don't actually need a heater in the tank as well, so that's an option. So lots of choices there. And Ginger Graves, not heard from you in ages, $4.99. Thank you so much, GG, really appreciate it. Okay, 236 likes. We're not going to get the push-ups done, I suggest here at this rate. Hi, John M. Loach. Hi, George. Have I ever made a UK biotope? Yes, I have. Give me a minute, and I'm gonna actually post a link to it because it won a competition, which I was very proud of at the time. AGA Showcase 2000. I think it was 2009. Was it 2008? Just bear with me, guys. Just look at the nice tank for a minute. Here we go. First place, boom. Right, I'll just post this link in the chat. And then you can see exactly the biotope I made. Doosh, there we go. Aquarium Kid, do another collab with MD. Yeah, I'm sure that will happen at some point after lockdown. Okay, guys. Give it a few more minutes and then I'll say cheerio. Dean Robinson, hi Dean. When I say do running water change, how far do I drain until start filling at the same time? What I do is actually start filling and draining at the same time, but the draining is slightly quicker than the filling. So as I'm maintaining the tank, like cleaning the glass, trimming the plants, vacuuming the foreground, etc., the water is actually lowering down very, very gradually because the water is being siphoned out into my garden slightly quicker than it is getting filled up into the tank. And then what that does, that will probably last a good kind of half an hour, between half an hour and 40 minutes until it gets down to kind of here. And by that time, you've probably changed almost 100% of the water, I would suggest, even though it's only gone down that far, because you've been draining out at the same time as it's been filling up. I have it draining out of that side, and then I have it filling up at this side. So the filling up, the draining, it's draining out old water and not fresh water. That's why they're opposite ends of the aquarium, if that makes sense. I did do a water change video. I can't remember how much detail I went into it in terms of the actual practical what I did for that. But if you check out that video, Dean, if you haven't seen it already, I think it's called how I do massive water changes, or how to do massive water changes, or something similar. I posted it about probably about maybe a couple of months ago now, actually. Okay, I'll do two more questions and then I'm going to say cheerio. Yeah, I do use tap water, and it's quite hard as well. Horizon Aquatics, £10 super chat. That's very generous of you, Horizon. Thank you so much. Guys, Horizon Aquatics, fairly new store up in the northeast of the UK, northeast of England, and I've chatted with them very frequently on text messages, etc. And I was supposed to be doing a workshop there before the lockdown. Obviously, that came about, but I am really looking forward to seeing the store. I'll do a full-on vlog, store tour, and then hopefully I'll be doing a workshop, and then hopefully maybe another visit later in the year and do a book signing up there as well. So lots of opportunity to work with those great guys up there. Okay, guys, I'm going to do one more question. Diogo Valente, hello George, is the Awase Biomaster Thermo 250 too much for a 60-40-40, and should it be used on a hose reductor or leave it 16-22? No, the Thermo 250 is absolutely fine for that size tank. I would actually be tempted to go for a 350. I'm a big fan of more circulation, especially if you're using lily pipes like this. So you can actually move a lot of water very quickly without causing too much turbulence with a lily pipe. I'm going to say cheerio now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, especially for those that asked the questions and the super chats, etc. A shout out to Candy and Lizzie, my excellent moderators. Really appreciate your hard work. Super grateful for that. I will be here this time next week as well, so tell your friends. That'd be great to have even more people on the stream. I think we've had about 350 watching at one time, which has been amazing. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and then you'll have the opportunity on Sundays to ask a question and then hopefully get it answered on this stream. And like I said at the beginning, I tend to make those kind of Q&As a bit more kind of about the general hobby and not too much technical information, technical answers, kind of leave them to this section of the stream. I'm going to produce 2 videos this week on my channel, fully produced, fully edited. I'm going to do a lighting review of the Chihiros RGB Vivid 2s, which are running this tank right now. And I'm going to do a full update on my Awase Style Line 85, which I rescaped recently for the Headspace app. So they're going to be releasing the video in the next couple of weeks. I'll let everyone know when that's out. You can watch that for free, and I'm really excited about that. So I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone, whatever kind of state of lockdown that you're in your country, I hope you're healthy. I hope your friends and family are healthy, and I hope you're enjoying your scapes. It's a perfect opportunity whilst everyone's at home a little bit more than usual. If you're not a key worker, to enjoy your hobby. If you are a key worker, really grateful for you guys, and hopefully you can still use your hobby as a therapeutic and a tool to enrich your life as well. So I'm going to say cheerio. Thank you so much for watching. I do really appreciate it. I'm really excited to bring you some new videos this week. I hope you are too, and you take care. You keep on scaping. Cheerio. Just got the camera running live stream on the side. There's no audio, so. Foil on the back.
Why? Have you got a boy on the back, George? No one is this.
Yeah, he did it in a really good area. So I was getting him on his leash whilst looking for the food. Because I knew that I was going to do the squat thing, but he'd run away. And ended up getting, he treat, he would sit, and the collar on, and I said, go and get the food.
For me?